Crew, come close, it's that time again. People losing their minds, calling for the world to end. Sudden trend line break, just to spook you out. If it gets to you, maybe go fishing for some trout. Touch grass, relax, at least wait for a daily close. Keep your marbles intact, appreciate the cycle lows. Manage your risks, set stocks, let time just do the rest. Meanwhile, look forward to another Camel Finance episode to distress. Ask your partner to consider your privacy. Just don't mention your love for charts, will be seen as rivalry. Devote yourself to the cycles, treat them as your muse. At some point it will pay you back in life-changing views. Touch grass, relax, at least wait for a daily close. Keep your marbles intact, appreciate the cycle lows. Manage your risks, set stocks, let time just do the rest. Meanwhile, look forward to another Camel Finance episode to distress. Left translated cycle or not until November to attest. Uncertain future, have an open mind to be your guest. Some will win, most lose, we'll all have to respect. Just don't over-leverage yourself and get absolutely wrecked. Emotions rise on the way to every high and low. Every day a chance to let your composure grow. Create a mental, spongy, bulletproof vest. If a black swan event arises, then GG for the shorts at best. Touch grass, relax, at least wait for a daily close. Keep your marbles intact, appreciate the cycle lows. Manage your risks, set stops, let time just.
Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel and I've had a very weird morning, very weird morning. So anyway, I thought we would go live. I'm going to explain why. Of course, we're going to give away that code in just a moment. We'll do the code first. Okay, so if you just want the code and then you want to leave, I totally understand. So we'll do the code within the next couple of minutes. Thank you everyone for being here. Please don't say turn on your mic. I'm sure you can probably hear me. I know there's a 30-second delay. Hello to all the members. Hello to all the non-members. Hello, Brother Nasco. It's not really an emergency donkey. It's not really. No. Well, not really. No. It kind of is and it kind of isn't. Right. Let me make my case. Code alert. What's up? What's up? Yeah. You're here to stay. I appreciate you. I'm sure you could probably hear me then, right? We can. Okay. Thank you very much. Cool. All right, so I won't waste too much of your time. I always say these things are going to be short. And stop saying no, Mike. Yeah, I always say these things are going to be short, and then we're here 2 hours later still just doing nothing, right? So yeah, anyway, today I promise will hopefully be a bit shorter. So first things first, let's kick off with this code. If you want to be amongst the first 20 people to get access to this code, you will need to... I'm not clickbaiting. Right, hang on. Let me focus up. So if you go to camelfinance.co.uk, the first 20 people to key in this code on checkout will get 50% off for life. Now, life means until the point that you cancel your subscription, right? But if you keep the subscription active, you'll get 50% off indefinitely forever, okay? Which means all of the future updates and all of that stuff, you know, whatever. however long you're there for, until the point you cancel it, you're going to get 50% off forever. So because this deal is so cheap, there is only going to be 20. So it is first come, first served. It doesn't mean we'll never, ever, ever do another discount code again in the future. We will probably be giving some away as we hit subscriber milestones and stuff, but it's probably never going to get better to this. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I am going to type in the code on this blank slate underneath code for indicator, okay, and I'm going to post it in the chat. And then for those of you that want to go and scramble, feel free to scramble. Like I said, you'll get 50% off forever, and forever is defined as until such time as you cancel it or stop paying, and it will only be available to the first 20 people, okay? So for those of you that, no, it's not only for new members. Anyone can use the code. So if you're already a paying member, good point. Thank you, Info. If you're already a paying member and you win a code, you can cancel your current membership and then start again with a new code, as far as I'm aware, okay? And if not, email me, message me. Me and Ben will sort you out, okay? So it should be available to absolutely everyone, and that includes people that are already paying members, already on the website, okay? Absolutely everyone and anyone is entitled to win a code. It is for the first 20 people. So without further ado, the code is Easter sale, just like this. I'll put it in the chat as well, so you can copy and paste it if you want to. And that's that. So I'm just going to take a quick sip of drink right now, and then we're going to get into today's episode. How much is the normal rate? I think it's 70p a day, or $28 a month. And if you buy 12 months in one go, it works out that you get 2 months-ish for free. So you do the maths, but I'm pretty sure that works out at something akin to 17 pence a day with the 50% off discount, which is not bad, if I do say so myself. Thanks, brother Nasco. I appreciate you. So yeah, anyway, for the people saying they hate PayPal, I understand, and we are going to be integrating a new payment system ASAP. So yeah, we're on the right road, right? Okay. Yeah, we are going to talk about some market stuff. Just give me a moment. You guys are so impatient, all right? We're swing traders, right? Or at least I am. Okay, we're not caught up in the tape. Don't worry too much. There's nowhere to enter the code. Yes, there is. There's a coupon page at checkout. It's called a coupon. Okay. What are we doing? I think I need to stop reading comments for the time being. Okay, so that's the code dealt with, okay? Why am I live? Well, I think as most of you know, I'm autistic, and it's the good type of autism, right? Which means I don't have to be told to change my pants and eat. But it does mean from time to time when my routine gets messed up, I don't handle it very well. And today, my routine has been completely destroyed. So I woke up in the middle of a knife fight on Twitter. That's been a real pain. Then the wife dragged me to go to see a nursery farm thing. So we've been doing all of that. and now I've come back and my whole day's written off and my routine is all crushed and I don't know what's going on. So I thought what we would do, rather than me record the video and edit it and all of that normal stuff, I thought what we'd do is we would go live and I'm going to write this day off practically. We're going to go through this presentation. This presentation essentially is just me asking people not to quit the space. And I'm going to present my case as to why I believe we are possibly staring down the barrel of the final leg up, and why I believe most people are actually quitting right before the party actually starts. I believe everything to now has been a prelude and we are not actually in the party zone, the banana zone as Raul calls it. I want to show you this, okay? I want to show you exactly why I'm thinking this. I want to show you exactly why I believe people are quitting right at the worst possible time. I see an awful lot of people that are drawing conclusions prematurely. So I'm also going to show you that. And I only want to say, and I'm kind of thinking this might be too little too late, to be completely honest, because I feel like a lot of people have already quit. A lot of people have probably already left and they're probably not coming back. And So I hope, I hope that this video can reach the people it needs to reach, and I hope that this can convince people not to quit. If you know someone that's quit, maybe show them the presentation on this. I don't know. I kind of fear that, like I said, this is too little too late, and if you're here in the live, you're probably already pretty wired into the space. You're probably not going anywhere, but it kind of feels a lot to me like people have quit and drawn conclusions prematurely. So I want to show you why I think that's the case now. That's what we're going to do. And then we'll maybe do a few Q&As. We'll run through some charts. I can see people talking about gold. Yeah, gold is in the middle of a blow off top. And I mean, it should have been expected. If you've been watching this channel, you should have at least been open to that as a possibility. So yeah, happy days. Members are benefiting from minor positions. If we do go into a blow off top, if you're a member and you're listening to this and we go into a true blow off top, 3 angles, as I showed you in the videos recently, then we will probably lighten up some of the positions and look to reallocate after a collapse. So yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much it. So let's get into this. Okay, now the first thing I wanted to point out is this, the weekly cycle low and double. Okay, now lots and lots of people were very quick to write comments along the lines of this is invalidated, you're never getting it, or that's another one of your calls that was wrong. People were very quick to try to just dismiss this thing as if it's invalidated already. Okay, but when we go to the Bitcoin chart, where's the Bitcoin chart? Excuse me. When we turn off this and go to my data window and turn on the weekly cycle low and double. Where is it? Okay, wait, it's coming. Is that it? Yeah, okay. When we zoom out, okay, yes, it went a bit deeper. Yes, the bottom has taken slightly longer than I expected, okay, but we are well on track for seeing something like this come out of here. Okay, now I know people don't want to hear it. I know people are very quick to say, no, it's invalidated, it's wrong, whatever. Okay, but hopefully if you can just give me some chance, give me a chance here, I will be able to convince you that it's not quite over yet. We can't truly discount this yet. Okay, this is slowly but surely working out a bottom as far as I can tell. Now, if we get to the next daily cycle low and we roll over and die, fine. Okay, we're doing something different. But so far, I don't think what's happening here is enough for us to draw any conclusions yet, right? And if you really think about it, everyone is wrong. Because I was talking about finding this daily cycle low, which we did, albeit a bit lower down, and then doubling, and we haven't done that. But if you're one of these people that wants to invalidate this, well, you're wrong as well, because we're still at the exact same price that we traded all the way back on the 24th, 5th or 6th of February. Okay, so we're trading the exact same level that we were at the end of February. So telling anyone that this is invalidated, that it's impossible, we haven't got another leg ahead of us and that kind of thing is wrong. It's premature, right? We can't be bearish here just yet. We can't be certain of ourselves that was the top just yet. And if you're not convinced now, I understand this is probably not a convincing enough chart, but give me a bit of chance and I will show you, right? I will show you what I mean. So the next thing is this chart, which we've shown before. I think it's this one. I really do. I think this fits the profile of the weekly cycles. If we were to get that double, okay, then this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the extended wave. It totally fits. It could easily be the other ones, okay? I'm not trying to say that we can completely discount the bearish ones. But if there's even a remote possibility of this, okay, then don't you want to be sure that it's ruled out before we start invalidating this idea? Right? This is my idea, and I think too many people have walked away from this and declared it's over. I think too many people have drawn conclusions when they don't realize that the sentiment matches wave 2 perfectly, and we have not yet confirmed a weekly cycle low. Okay, now the cycle traders are all arguing about whether or not we're going to get an inversion, right? Whether or not this was the daily cycle or this was the daily cycle and what the current count is. But the reality is on the weekly time frame, we have never confirmed a weekly cycle low. At no point did we break a trend line. At no point did we get a Brexit cross. We haven't had it. So to start discounting this is literally, and I do mean literally, to be bearish into a weekly cycle low. Yes, it's taken a bit more time than usual, okay? But that does not mean it's not going to happen. And I think this is what I really want to drive home today, is that we may be down, but we are not out just yet, okay? And we are still, objectively speaking, in that weekly cycle low timing window. One other point to make here before we move on is if what comes next is some kind of push to the upside and we zoom out, with hindsight, will we be able to say nobody could have seen that coming? Or will we be able to say, you know what? That was a weekly cycle low. We shouldn't have been bearish into a weekly cycle low. Okay, now I think it's the latter. Again, I'm sure this isn't convincing enough yet. Stick around. I'm going to show you a couple of other things. The next thing is this indicator is always very, very hesitant to go against the grain. But when it does, it normally does so for good reason. And right now, it thinks that is a weekly cycle low. And even though these lows were below this one, the indicator has discounted them. Now, I don't ever know completely why it does things like this, but whenever it has done it in the past, it has always been correct. It could easily be wrong this time around. I'm not saying that it's going to be right this time around, but its track record is more impressive than mine, okay? Every time I have seen it throw a curveball like this, it has turned out to be correct. So this is not my weekly cycle count. This is not the one I would have chosen, but I do not want to bet against it here, okay? That's just one extra piece of information that is making me sit here and think the fact it didn't choose the lowest low here tells me something. It seems to know something that I don't, okay? The next thing I wanted to show you is this 1,440 day cycle for Bitcoin puts us right into that 5th of May timeframe. Now, if you've been following the channel, you will know that we are aiming for a daily cycle low right into that 7th-ish of May timeframe, okay? And I am still making the case that we're going to get this cycle low in here, it's going to be the weekly cycle low, and then we're going to come rocketing out in that double. And I know people want to discount it, as I said. I still think it's premature to discount this. Even if this comes down lower and makes a new low, I still think that we are absent of a weekly cycle low swing here, let alone even the swing and a failure. So I still think it's early. And on top of that, look at this, okay? The 1440 daily cycle puts us in the exact same timing window. If we pull this up, you can see right here, okay? Every single time we had one of these cycles, it led to parabolic expansion into the top for Bitcoin. Same deal here, same deal here. So to bet against Bitcoin making another high here is really to say that this is going to be the first time this is not coming next. It's also going to be the first time that Bitcoin has made a weekly cycle low and decided to do nothing. It would be very, very strange here if this is what comes next, okay? Just totally absent of a weekly cycle low swing. That would be weird. It's a market. It's not impossible. But on a balance of probabilities, okay, we are in the process of making a turn here. And when you look at prior tops for Bitcoin, okay, like these ones, notice what happens. The top comes in and the price pukes. The top comes in, the price pukes extremely fast, right? Top comes in, price pukes extremely fast. Same deal here, price pukes, price pukes. What have we got at the hard right edge? Okay, we haven't got that. What we've got at the hard right edge is price barely down, I don't know, from top to bottom, 22, 23%, and it's ranging there. It's ranging just below. This has not crashed 60% in a week, okay? This has not done what this has done, which is be down 50+% in the first 79 days, right? It hasn't done that. It also hasn't done this thing here, where it's down another 50% or more in another 90 days. It hasn't done anything close to that. It hasn't done what it did back here, which is crash all the way from 20K down 70% to 6K in 49 days. It has done nothing remotely similar to that. Instead, what we're seeing here is an orderly walk down and an orderly reaccumulation so far into a weekly cycle low with record amounts of people quitting the space. Now, by all means, okay, I'm by no means saying that we should go all in here. You should mortgage the house all in Bitcoin. That's not what I'm saying. But if you really think about it, everyone has been very, very worn out. The majority of market participants have been wrecked on altcoins. They have been describing this as the most difficult Bitcoin cycle ever. They've been describing this as the most disappointing Bitcoin cycle ever. People like me have been disappointed and surprised by the underperformance, at least relative to expectations, but also relative to Bitcoin in the crypto-related stocks, okay? Outside of maybe Coinbase and MicroStrategy, the rest of them haven't really done anything spectacular. That was surprising. I think it was also surprising that Ethereum, for example, has not outperformed Bitcoin. I don't think many people thought that would be the case. I don't think many people would describe this current cycle as this was an easy one and we've easily been able to profit. I think the story for most market participants is they doubted this entire move off the lows. They aped in here, Okay, they quit here, they aped in here, and now they're fully done. Okay, and worse still, I think the story for most market participants is they did this via the altcoin market, not even via Bitcoin. They did this via the altcoin market, and they're even more destroyed. And that is why I think people are quitting here. Okay, but remember, as a quick recap, we're bearish into a weekly cycle low for some reason. I don't think we should be. I think we should be a little bit more patient, okay? And I also think the relative strength we're seeing here, because we're going sideways for a bit, is the sign of a turn to come potentially. I also think it's very typical for commodities and Bitcoin to have extended fifth waves, and we haven't seen one yet. I also think we shouldn't be betting against this cycle either. And on top of that, when we overlay this whole banana zone thing, okay, take a look at this. We're not doing anything out of the ordinary. All of the gains, historically speaking, come over the next 8 months, right? Relative to the total cycle, right? The total cycle length. You can see here, here's the all-time high. We chop around underneath it, we blast through, we chop again, and then we blast off. Here's the all-time high. We chop around the all-time high. Okay, we blast off, we chop around again, and we go full banana zone. Same deal here, okay? Prior high was a bit higher, about 20k. We chop around the all-time high, okay? Then we blast off, we chop in the middle, and we blast off. And here's the prior all-time high. We've already done the chop around. We've blasted off, we're chopping around again, okay? There's potentially all of this, which again fits the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And people have quit here, right? Imagine quitting here. Imagine quitting here. Imagine quitting here. Into a weekly cycle, as I said, into the longer term cycles against the camel indicator, which seems to think that we are not going to make a new low here. Okay, it's happy to pick this one for whatever reason. And imagine walking away right before this happens. This is why I want people to be aware that although nobody ever knows, okay, I do think it's worth hanging around for a few more months to find out here. I do think potentially we have this in front of us. And the worst part is, if you're not at least expecting this, if you're not at least partially open to this, then you're excluding yourself from the move. And if you exclude yourself from the move here, then there's a good chance you're emotionally going to doubt the thing until it gets all the way up here and then ape in at the top. That's how most retail participants behave. Okay, so please share this with someone that has quit. Please consider what I've said. We're also going to talk about Bitcoin dominance in the altcoin market. On top of this, gold tends to, as we've shown many times on this channel, right, top and go sideways. And that coincides with Bitcoin going parabolic. It tops and goes sideways whilst Bitcoin goes parabolic. Right now, gold is in this parabolic blow off top move, getting ready to decline into a weekly cycle, right? Getting ready to put in a base. And historically speaking, again, unless you want to say this time is different, unless you want to be the guy that says nothing about this cycle is going to be remotely close to any of the prior times, then it seems reasonable to expect this to happen soon. Yes, gold probably has a bit more blowing off to do first. But again, this is more and more evidence to me at least that says it might be worth hanging around here. It might be worth pushing the trades for a little bit longer until they become unreasonable to do so. And again, fitting in with what I've been saying about the weekly cycle low not being in yet, and for bottoms to take time to be put in, and for it to be premature to people, for people to start to call bottoms here, and for it to be premature for people to start invalidating this setup and calling tops here, okay, here's another visualization of this. Carving out a bottom can take time. It took a lot longer back here, okay, and right now, it looks an awful lot to me like that's what's happening. We are carving out a bottom just like we did in the prior weekly cycles. All of these are what? Weekly cycles, right? So are we actually out yet? Yes, we might be down. Yes, sentiment might be destroyed. I don't think many people expected the stock market to enter a technical bear market in the 2 or 3 week period as a result of tariffs. But again, based on everything I've shown you, okay, it looks an awful lot to me like we have got a chance here. Okay, that's what I'm saying, and that's what I want you to show anyone that has quit here. Now, the last couple of things I want to point out are Bitcoin dominance, because many people for a long time have been saying that Bitcoin dominance would break down and alt season would be here and blah, blah, blah. And the reality is not many people did this very well, okay? But if we, how far back does this go? Let's add this, whatever. If we overlay the Bitcoin price chart, right, here's 2017. Now, this is kind of a weird one because we had the ICO craze and all of that stuff going on. But notice the top comes in for Bitcoin, okay? And it's after the top or on the top of Bitcoin that we get the breakdown in dominance and true alt season, right? True rotation, true speculation. Here, okay, notice how close it is to the top before we get the true breakdown in Bitcoin dominance, okay? And what have we got at the hard right edge? We've got a weekly cycle low, everyone being premature to call it. We've got basing occurring, okay? We've got liquidity on our side. We've got the Fed about to move from QT to slowing of QT and then ultimately into rate cuts. And we've got no sign of breakdown yet. And I know that altcoins have been horrible and disappointing to hold. But again, to quit here, when essentially what could be around the corner is one final push to new highs, and then you finally get your breakdown. Okay, this is what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned people have held all the way to to this point in the cycle, and they're quitting right before we actually get to this whole banana zone, right? This is what I'm concerned about. So I think I've made my case. I hope I've made my case. I haven't been looking at the comments, so let's have a look at the comments. But we'll do some charts as well in a minute. But I hope you'll consider what I said. I really, really think that although anything and everything is on the table, although, where is it? This, okay, could easily be what's in play. We've done 5 up and the top is in, okay? It could easily be that. Don't get me wrong. But do you want to exclude yourself from taking part in this move just because, quote, this cycle has been disappointed, or, quote, this has been a difficult cycle to deal with, right? Anyway, that is my case. My case is, until proven otherwise, banana zone. Something else that might be worth noting, actually, one final thing, and then we'll read some comments. Top to this current low, okay, was about 33% decline. So if that really was the top, we're already halfway down to the bear market low. Right? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. It makes far more sense that we've got to come screaming out of here way higher. Then we can have our 80% bear market and land back at that 70, 75k neighborhood, right? That to me makes the most sense. And again, who knows? It's way too early to tell, but that is exactly my point, and that is my presentation. It's too early to tell. Please stay positive. Please stay open to all possible outcomes. I'm going to take some comments now and see what people are saying, okay? Right, let's have a look. Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's the emergency? The emergency is, I think people are quitting. I think people are quitting right before we move to the ultimate blow off top move. And from a daily cycle perspective, I think we are literally less than a month away. Okay? I mean, this is where I believe we are, truly. I believe we are currently on something akin to day 38-ish, okay? Expecting to enter that window within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Let's say 3 weeks, okay? And then I think we are going to begin the next leg to new all-time highs for Bitcoin. And I think, unfortunately, most people are going to miss it. And I find that tremendously sad. I really do. Because it's easier to wait for a bounce here, okay, and then say, oh no, Camel was wrong. It's easier to do that than it is, apparently, based on what I'm seeing in sentiment at the moment, than to be open to something like this coming next, okay? But too many whales have been accumulating here. Too much stuff is going on under the hood for this to be it. Of course it could be, but it would also be to bet against something that we've seen over and over and over again, which doesn't add up to me. No emergency. I mean, what did you think? Since when am I a tape to the a slave to the tape, right? Since when am I a slave to the tape? Since when do I care about intraday price movements? Come on, guys. Come on. You've been here long enough. You've been here long enough. Going nowhere. Yeah, I'm glad. I fear the problem is the type of people that are going to tune into a live stream in the middle of a Wednesday are probably pretty locked in, right? The people in here right now are probably never, ever, ever, ever going to be shaken. But I do worry that too many people have left. I've been seeing all kinds of comments from people saying that they're quitting and they never want to come back, and alts have drained all their money and all of this stuff. Yeah, it could easily be massive retest resumption. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And it could also easily be that all of this results to finally having an alt season, but we just need Bitcoin to move up. In fact, if I pull up this chart right here, I've said on plenty of other live streams, if we get something like this play out, it's in here I would expect to see alts do better if they're going to. Even though I still think the breadth will be thin, it's in here that I think we would see the rotation, because people will have extreme amounts of profit at 150k plus in Bitcoin, and they will probably be looking to take advantage of that and rotate it to places. So it makes sense that if we're finally going to have an alt season, it's coming mid-year, and people have quit in April. Really think about what I'm saying, okay? Like, nobody knows, least of all me, right? None of us actually have a clue whether or not alt season is possible. None of us have a clue whether or not Bitcoin is topped. None of us know if this thing can go higher. But the only way you find out is you have to be open and ready for it. And it seems like so many people have just quit. And I mean, it feels bad, right? It feels bad. I don't know. It doesn't feel bad for me, because I know I'm getting ready to go long out of this cycle low. And I know we got an invalidation, right? If that gets stopped out, then we take my chips off the table. We'll lock down from this low area, right? We will lock down, I don't know, something in the neighborhood of 340 odd %, which is by no means life-changing, right? Or wife-changing. But for 2.5 years to get a decade and a half of stock market performance, that's fine with me, right? Yeah, it's disappointing. Yeah, it's not the 10x plus I wanted. Yeah, it's not 150k, but we'll take it, right? But at least I'll be ready to trade this. But I think most people are quitting. Most people are giving up. And I don't like it. What's my view on ETH? I mean, like I said, I think if it's going to go, it would go... this would have to happen for Bitcoin, and then ETH will probably outperform in here. That's what I think. Same is true for a handful of altcoins. But I'm just starting to feel a little bit deflated by this whole space, because I think too many people came here and felt like they don't get out of bed for less than 25x. And now they've quit right before, again, like, look at this chart. Where is it? This one right here. Look at this. It might be that. It might be. And how many people are actually going to catch that, right? $150k, you're not bullish enough. Right. Because it could easily be 150k pullback and then another double. And that would just be normal. That would also be, wouldn't it, for the extended fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? It wouldn't actually be insane. In hindsight, we would be saying things like, that was kind of obvious, right? It's not obvious now, but it's never obvious at the time. And it reminds me of this low back here. Every man and his dog was saying I was an idiot. I was a total idiot and I was wrong. And they were pointing at the stop loss I paid here and the stop loss I paid here on the trading account. And they go, well, you're wrong, you're rubbish. You paid 2 stops in a row, right? And this resulted to 100% pump. And it feels exactly the same here. It feels exactly the same. And I'm just super concerned that people have disappeared right at the most important time. No one was really disappearing into weekly cycle lows. They were still here every day. And it was the same here. Like, people didn't really believe in left translation, but maybe it was an idea. And here, people were like, yeah, well, it's going back to the lows, but they were still here, right? Whereas today, I'm not even convinced they're here. I think they've quit. I really do. And you can see this if you look at the bigger YouTubers, the ones that have like 800k subs or 300k subs. They're getting marginally more views than I am. And they've got 800,000 subscribers, right? They're getting like twice the views with over 10x the subscriber count. Why? Because there's only the OGs left, right? And that's really disappointing to me, because if you want to try to exit the matrix, you have to be here. You can't just quit. You know, I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know what you guys think. Maybe I'm too bullish. I'm always too bullish. I usually am too bullish. But it just feels disappointing for, I think this is setting up to be very disappointing for a lot of people. I really do. So I don't know, man. Yeah, radio silence. It's weird. People are losing their shirts. Yeah, you're right. And I understand, because I don't think hardly anyone expected the stock market to do this. At least not that quickly. And I saw the panic in my comments. I saw certain members reaching out to me. People were losing their marbles here. And it's understandable, because most people got into the markets after C19 and they didn't really remember what it's like to go through that, right? Most people weren't here during this in the taper tantrum in 2018. Most people didn't trade through the double dip, right? Like, people just haven't been here that long. And I understand people, it's easy to say, right? Risk happens fast, but people don't realize how fast risk happens. And this still isn't done yet, as you know, because the cycles are still down and we're still rejecting off resistance. So I totally understand. And I know it's easy for somebody like me who was fortunate enough to get in low down and still be holding, right? It's easy for somebody like that to sit here and say, well, it's only a 23% pullback, guys, relax, right? But the reality is, if you bought, like, I don't know, don't hate me for this example, okay? But if you bought Ape Coin or whatever, is it Ape? I don't even know the names of these things. I've got one bookmarked. If you bought something like that looks like this, okay? Now, I know there are coins that have done way better than Bitcoin. That's not my point, right? But if you bought something like this, it's not as easy to sit here and say, well, everything's fine. Everything is it? When if you happen to choose one of these shiny projects and it's now making new lows whilst Bitcoin looks like this, then I get it. Like, you want to quit, and it's not very nice. I totally understand that. But again, I think we need to be a bit more positive here. I really do. And I was talking to the members about this as well, because there's things like Riot, okay? Now, I'm guilty of this myself. I thought by now that we would be trading comfortably above 22 for Riot, right? I didn't think that we would do this and then end up down here. I thought if I had to draw a yellow squiggle, it would probably look more like this, right? So I'm guilty of this as well. I expected more performance. I certainly expected these to be outperforming Bitcoin, and they're not, because off of the lows, we're only up about 100% right now. So that's not good, right? That's no bueno. You underperform Bitcoin. We should have just added to the Bitcoin stack, right? But the silver lining here is, number one, okay, that is still, I don't know, 5+ years of S&P 500 performance in 2.5 years, okay? Still not that bad. For Coinbase, Coinbase in the same time frame is up something akin to 400 odd percent, right? 450-ish, roughly, whatever. Okay, in 2.5 years. Again, that's not bad when you measure it in terms of S&P 500 performance or something. And the other thing I wanted to point out is, which one is it? Is it Bitfarms? Let me try this. Excuse me. Was it this one? No. Wait, let me find it. Give me 1 second, because this is a really good illustration at this point. Is it BTBT? Yeah, okay. So here's the other thing, right? Again, on the one hand, we go, well, from the absolute bear market lows to now, the thing's up 200%, okay? So a decade's worth, roughly, of S&P 500 performance, but still underperforming Bitcoin, certainly not 25x that we'd hoped for, okay? But I was showing this with the members recently. Back here, okay, this right here might not look like much to you guys, right? But that was an 80-odd% decline from this wick to down here, close to 80%. Okay, and at the hard right edge, believe it or not, this is, quote, only 69%. Okay, and look what happened here. Okay, if the banana zone is coming, and I'm not saying it is, okay, but if the banana zone is coming, we might have just completed that pullback, and this might be laying ahead. This would get us out to a top sometime around the end of this year. Okay, and then the performance from the ultimate 4-year cycle low up there would be akin to 6,000%. And then at that point, no one's complaining. Now, I am by no means suggesting this is realistic or likely to happen. Of course I'm not, okay? But as I was saying to the members, even if it can just get back up here, okay, into October, that would still be somewhere akin to a 20x, okay? And at that point, no one's complaining. But again, people may well just be throwing in the towel here right before this banana zone, so to speak, unfolds. And if you think it's painful now, how do you think it's going to feel watching, if you quit here and then something like this unfolds, right? So yeah, we don't know. We do not know. Something is broken with the miners. Maybe what they've done is exactly what they intended to do, which is accumulate them all in a big range, okay? Convince everyone that they're never going up, that there's something wrong. Make them, most people, okay, buying the fake breakouts from the ranges, or they're currently holding down 60, 70%. Most people are throwing their toys out the pram going, I wanted 25x, right? I don't get out of bed for less than 15x because I'm an altcoiner and I think this stuff is normal. And maybe for all we know, the 20x is around the corner in the next 6 months, okay? That's exactly what happened in the prior cycle. So we can't say it's impossible because we've seen it before. It's just, how likely is it, right? I don't know. I don't know, but I do know I'm ready in case we are right with our expectations. I'm ready in case this weekly cycle low is about to confirm, yeah? So I'm not trying to sell hopium. I'm just trying to say I've seen enough weekly cycles and bearish sentiment to think that it's got to be worth a chance. It's got to be worth a chance. Someone's saying ban the Diddy Coin bot. I don't know about Diddy Coin bot. I can't even see it. The leading indicator. Kick that guy. All right, hide. There you go. He's gone. Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. There you go, guys. He's gone. So yeah, man. I don't know. That's my rant. That is my rant. And yeah, free hopium, call it whatever you want, right? I could easily be wrong. And if I am wrong and the top's in and we're going to go into a bear market, then people will clip this and they'll taunt me and torture me with it forever, just like they do with left translation. They're like, oh, bro, you said left translation 8, 9, 10 months ago and it was wrong. Yep. Sometimes you get them wrong, okay? It is what it is. But I don't know, man. It seems like the risk is still to the upside here. So yes, I know El Prez. I've been trying to talk him into doing a live stream with me. How do I manage spot positions? They're harder to manage than trades. No, I disagree. I buy at the 4-year cycle low and I put them on cold storage. And I don't touch them until I'm convinced the top's in. And then I move it from cold storage to a hot wallet and I dump it. And that's it. That's all I do. And right now I'm still holding it, which if it means I miss the top, then obviously, again, that's going to be another thing that goes on my record as something I got horribly wrong. If I actually miss the top, then I missed the top, right? And people are forever going to say, well, you should have sold 110k and you sold 70. Okay, fine. But if I'm right about this, we are about to do a weekly cycle low and double, then I'm going to dump the spot at 150. And then I think people will add that to my record as one of the other things I got right, you know? So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Best video yet. Thank you, Lee. I'm glad. I don't know, man. I'll tell you what it really is. I feel quite disheartened and disappointed because the only reason I started this channel in the first place was to try to point at things that I saw as a trader and say, look, I think I know what I'm talking about. I think there's some opportunity here to make money and I don't think we've got forever to do it. You know, I've long been saying over and over and over again, let's use the all-time price chart, right? This one here. I have long been saying that if something like this is in play, and I believe it is, we've got essentially until the end of 2026 when they unload QE. When they do the QE bomb at the end of 2026, okay? If you're not in position by here, then I think life's going to be very, very difficult for you and your family, right? This is the whole ethos of this channel for over 3 years now. The whole ethos was there's going to be a reset. There's going to be even more printing than we saw in the C19 era. And you better get a hold of your gold, silver, and Bitcoin. And you better stack it up. And you better stack it up as high as you possibly can. Because by the time we get into mid to late 2026, they are going to unleash 30 trillion in global QE. Possibly as much as 20 trillion in the US alone. Okay? And it will dwarf what we saw in the C19 era. And that, in the C19 era, created a have and a have-not economy, right? Half of us are sat here richer than ever, okay? And for us, it's almost impossible to imagine. It's like, well, what's the problem with inflation, right? I just buy more Bitcoin, it goes to the moon, I'm richer than ever, right? Half of the world is like that. But it's easy to forget the other half lives paycheck to paycheck and can't put meat on the table for their family, right? And if you're not in that have group, you're in that have-not group, well, the good news is, you've got a couple of years until we get to 2026, right? You can stack as much Bitcoin and gold and silver and whatever else and commodities into this 2026. You can learn a simple cycle trading strategy to be able to get you in at the major 4-year cycle lows as they occur in 2026. But after that point, you're either in position or you're not. The ship is leaving. The plane, whatever you want, whatever analogy you want to use, it's leaving. It's leaving. The global QE will come. And you're either rich or you're not, right? You're either able to position yourself between now and 2026 so that you can exploit that inflation and add it to your net worth, or you will unfortunately be part of the rest of the world, which is not able to do so. And the whole reason I do this in the first place, I don't need to do this. I think people forget this a lot of the time. They're like, oh, I don't need to be here. I don't even like being here anymore. That's the absolute truth of the matter. I don't even like being here. It's a lot of stress and it's a lot of infighting and it's a lot of justifying what I'm doing for something I don't need to do. But I do it because I care. I do it because I care and I want to do it and because I love to do it. But if you're not in position here, okay, then it's too late for you. And this is why I say I'm a bit disappointed and sad and disheartened by this whole thing, because I feel like people have just quit here. You know, we were almost there. We're talking like 18 months or so to get in position. And I think people have quit 18 months before because they just think it doesn't matter. They think they don't need it. They think, wow, it's all a scam or whatever. But they're trying to blame Trump. Like, oh, well, Trump crashed the market. It's all his fault. Right? It's like the bigger picture here is you need to be in position by 2026. You really do. If you're not, then you're not going to be, you know? And so anyway, that is my rant. That's my rant. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just love you guys. I want you guys to do well because I think this is something else people don't realize. You know, I say this as respectfully as possible, but I am reset proof. Nothing can happen that puts me in a bad position, right? Like there's nothing bad can happen to me. I'm already good. And I want you guys to be good as well. And you can be, right? You can be good as well. But you've got to stay in your lane. You've got to not go after the shiny projects. You've got to not try to be a leverage trader when you've only got 2 weeks of charting experience, right? Stay in your lane, do the basics right. This is why we're going to start DCA Gold on the channel. You know, use the indicator, don't use the indicator, whatever, but just buy a cycle low. Learn how to count the days on the chart and buy the cycle low for gold, right? Get yourself into a position. So yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know. I think I need to take a day off. I think I need to go and detail one of my cars or something. I think that's what I'm going to do. One of them is absolutely filthy. So yeah, man. Look, I love you all. That's the absolute truth. I know people sometimes think I'm an asshole or I'm arrogant or whatever else, and I probably am to a certain degree. But I do this for you, believe it or not. I actually do this for you. So yeah. I don't know. Anyway, how long have we been doing this? I promised I wouldn't be here forever. It's been 47 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to take 5 questions in no particular order. And then I'm going to love you and leave you. Yeah, the problem is, Paul, in terms of, I think we're going to be more in like a lost decade. It's that chart I show from Capitalize on the weekend's deep dives. That's what I think is coming. And so I don't know. Yeah, for traders, there's going to be big pumps in the stock market out of 2026. But I'm not convinced all of them are going to make it to new highs. So I don't know. We'll see. Thank you, RGX. Appreciate you. Did I cover gold? No, I haven't covered gold. But gold is in a blow-off top. Okay, gold is in a blow-off top. And really, what you need to know, unless you're a trader or a member, is these are the 8-year cycles. Okay, and this is what it does. This is why I'm so bullish gold. It finds an 8-year cycle low and it goes on a run for 1.5 to 2 8-year cycles. Then it spends 2 to 3 consolidating and doing nothing. Then for 2 cycles or 1.5, and these are 8 years at a time, remember, it goes on a massive parabolic run. Then it spends 2-ish or so consolidating again, and we just so happen to be living right in this period of time right here where we're early in an 8-year cycle. This blue line is expected to see a half cycle decline, a 4-year cycle low, which is the half 8-year cycle low. And you know, then we're probably going to head into the end of the decade with gold somewhere up here, and then it may even have another half of an 8-year cycle left ahead of it. Okay, I've long been showing the fractal on this channel. Let's turn off the cycles and show you the fractals. This is what I think is going on. If I put it on the daily, you can see just how well this thing fits. Surprisingly well, actually. Yeah. And I think this is what's coming. And I've been saying this forever, and I maintain that nobody's targets are high enough. Okay. And this is why that, yes, there'll be shakeouts. Yes, if we get deflation and a big recession, gold will crash 30%. In fact, that's probably what this is, right? 40% into, look, roughly speaking, the end of the year. So maybe we get this kind of front run in and a big crash, and then maybe it has to spend the rest of the year doing this. Okay. And then off it goes again. And that's just what gold does. And that's why I've been so bullish on gold. Silver's going to do probably a similar thing. And again, you can easily capitalize on this by just DCAing in, right? But it speaks to needing to get to that kind of 2026 time frame or whatever. And then you're either in position or you're not. And I think too many people get caught up trying to trade the tape. Too many people want to buy every dip and, you know, leverage trade this thing 1000x, but you don't need to, right? Just do the basics right, and everything should be fine. So yeah, that's that. Do you plan to buy the next 4-year cycle low from trading accounts in the S&P 500? Yes, I do. Am I going to be buying and holding stocks? No. And again, this is why I want to spend so much time sort of focusing on this 2026 timeframe, because not only is gold going to have a big shakeout and then go to 20k an ounce, in my opinion, not only is silver going to have a shakeout and go to 200 or 300, but I also think things like oil, okay, oil has, you know, nobody really thought this was on the table. Very few people did, at least I should say. And now I say we chop around here for a while. We ultimately have another spill when stuff really goes wrong. And then I think we go from anywhere between 20 and 40 to 200 or 300, right? This in a spread betting account is enough to change your life forever. Okay. The VIX, for example, there should be a massive VIX trade coming up. I bet Nat Gas as another example. Okay. Again, if you can think a bit more long term, I bet this thing goes back down to the range lows between 1 and 2. And then from there, after we get the global QE, right? Let's draw a yellow squiggle. After we get the global QE, I bet it goes to 20, right? I mean, massive trade. It's like 40x from 1 to 20, right? Massive, massive, massive trade. And I don't know, man. Like I said, you're either going to be in position to catch this or you're not, right? And that's why I'm just very concerned that people are quitting right before things get serious. So anyway, I think that's enough. Hello from Athens. Hi, Jeff. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well, brother. So yeah, I'm going to keep doing me. I'm going to keep doing me. I'm going to keep doing my best to find these cycle lows. I'm going to keep doing my best to get everyone underneath these cycle lows in 2026. And I hope people will kind of think long term. When I say long term, I want you to think about between now and those 2026 lows, getting yourself into position for the lows, and then out of those lows, you know, like I said, you're either in or you're not. So thank you all for being here, okay? Thank you very much to all of you for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope you found some value. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you can see my point of view. Even if you don't agree, I hope you can at least consider it, right? Please do send this to somebody that's quit and let them know that a couple more years and we should get pretty far into profit territory, right? and other than that, yeah, thank you again. Right, I'm going to spend the day cleaning the car and enjoying myself. And yeah, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. I really, really do. I really, really, really do, honestly. So thank you very much. I love you all. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I think just to point out, actually, because we never really did this, just me ranting at you right before we go, just remember where the cycles are. Yeah. So far, rejecting at resistance on our way to the cycles for the stocks. Just remember for Bitcoin, okay, it may or may not break out. That may or may not be an inversion. But until proven otherwise, until we close above these kind of 90k levels, okay, then the cycle is down and a little bit more patience. And for gold, you know, don't be chasing it higher. You're either in or you're not. The members are positioned via miners, so happy days. And yeah, that's that. Okay, so as always, I'll be back tomorrow with another update. Other than that, thank you all again, and I'm your boy Camel. Until next time, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.